Hello, everybody. Now, since the beginning of time, everyone, all of mankind, has had one big question on its mind, and that is, can a multiple-time autocross champion switch to road course racing and see success and actually win championships and possibly even be good enough to go pro? Now, if you're coming to this channel and you have no idea anything about motorsports, that's okay. But just let me tell you, it's probably the last big nepotism sport left on this planet. Now, it's not like football, basketball, or any other type of sport where there's a relatively low barrier to entry. The biggest cost really is travel. Now, in racing, you have the travel expense still, but you also have tires, brakes, oil, transmission fluid. I mean, just on and on and on and on. Building a damn race car, crashing it, that could be thousands out the line. The bottom line is racing costs an astronomical amount compared to normal sports, which makes the barrier to entry almost impossible. And it creates, and I don't want to shit on too many drivers, but it creates a lot of misrepresentation of drivers that may not be as good. And this is not to say I'm the best driver at all, but it creates basically less of an opportunity for people that don't have money to be able to come into the sport. Now, thanks to people like Max Verstappen and his sim racing thing he's got going on, it's becoming more of a reality. And it's allowing people like Jimmy Broadbent, Super GT, Misha, hell, even Cletus McFarland. I know he's not in the sim racing world, but there has now become an avenue, thanks to YouTube and content creation and even sim racing, to where now it might be possible for someone to come with almost no money and actually have a smidgen of a chance of going pro. Now, and of course there are things to take into account, such as risks like the obvious crashing or, God forbid, getting seriously hurt in a crash. But granted, these are Miatas. You're maybe going maximum, I don't know, 120, maybe that. If that, I don't know. I could be very wrong too. I could end up getting out there and actually ending up going much faster once you're in the draft, bump draft, and who knows. But there is that obvious risk, and I don't really see it as a risk. It comes down to what I really want to end up doing in the rest of my life, and if it takes a risk as far as me getting hurt or losing a little bit of money. Well, first off, that's why you have insurance. Second off, yeah, I kind of see it as the worst that would happen if I live is just some rates go up. So I don't see that personally as a big caveat as to not do it. That's just me. Some people have different risk tolerances. When it comes down to you have a sheer drive and desire to do something you've always wanted to do since you were a kid, and it's always been impossible. I just can't be that guy no matter what that's 80 years old, if I even make it that long. And I knew I had something at this, and I love racing, and I never even tried. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. That'd be it. That would suck. So yes, racing is a lot of money, but it is still doable to an extent. Now, you can start in the grassroots motorsports level, like I did with Autocross, and it's a great place to build fundamentals and foundations of becoming a great driver as far as car control, trail braking, just sliding a car, kind of just how to optimize lines, how to really become as fast as a driver as you can be. It's a great avenue for that. The problem is there are no pro paid autocross drivers. Are there? No, I bet a lot of you probably don't even know autocross existed. So it's just the nature of the poor sport. It's not a well-known sport unless you really love cars and are passionate about it. So most people I tell that are coworkers like, autocross, what the hell is that? Then I got to explain it. But like, you race around a parking lot around cones, well, it's actually more difficult than that, especially if you're trying to win. But there's a lot of pro drivers that still come back to autocross. Randy Popes still does it. Randy, the GOAT, Randy Popes. Here, I'll put up a message. I talked to Randy about 10 years ago about trying to become professional, to go pro in racing. And back in his day, he's kind of, in the autocross community, he was seen as like the last guy that was able to make it pro from autocross level all the way up to like racing 24 hours at Daytona, podiuming there. He had great success. And now he works with Motor Trend as one of their test drivers. But needless, I messaged him. He basically told me back in the day, he went from autocross and bought a very cheap car and went entry-level road course racing. And from there, he did good enough to where he picked up sponsorships, and it kind of went from there. He also caveated and said, nowadays, it's more about the money. Now, I'll put the exact, I'll screenshot our chat and put it here. Don't mind me. I'm like 17 years old at this point. I probably say some stupid shit. Ignore that. But just the point of the matter is I'm talking about what Randy is saying here. Now, thanks to YouTube, that second problem of the money has helped become alleviated a tiny bit. Which, if you give me a smidgen of hope to go pro, which is my childhood dream, my God, I'm going to jump on it. With that being said, certain things need to be coming to play. You can't just go racing the most expensive cars, of course, and there are stakes here at play with money. You know, I live in Meridian, Idaho. Tell me a track that's near Meridian, Idaho that is less than 6 hours away. You know, that's a massive ordeal there. So thankfully I got a good old Toyota Tundra that can tow the car everywhere, but that's a massive problem. So that's the first big cash hurdle to go around. So I have to work full time on top of trying to train and create content for you guys and do that stuff. And you might say, pity party, everyone works hard, whatever. But I'm just letting you guys know what we're working with here to try to make this a reality. That's all. Now, you're probably logically thinking, well, if you want to do it racing door to door cost effectively, and you have to travel from Meridian, Idaho several times a year to actually go to these races, how are you going to be able to afford that? Well, it's a kind of a combination of maximizing your income where you can, such as hopefully if this gets big enough, I can make ad revenue, Patreon support, whatever it may be, on top of my overtime income and all that stuff from my job. Maximizing income, lowering expenses. A little quick tidbit info. I have a business management degree. I'm a nerd about finances. I'm kind of a picky, frugal guy. So we're going to try to race as frugally as possible and try to become as successful as possible on as little as money as possible. So we're going to race the cheapest category, which is spec Miata. And Miata is always the damn answer. Miatas are everywhere on Autocross. Miatas are everywhere on the road course. It's because Miata is always the answer. It's in the name, M-I-A-T-A. Miata is always the answer. It's a little funny joke we always have, but it really is. It's cheap. They're lightweight. They're great fun to race. I've co-driven a few of them in Autocross. They're a blast. I love them. I just can't really fit in them. We'll figure that out when we get there. Now, the way Spec Miata kind of works is I will be racing in the West Coast, obviously, if I'm in Meridian, Idaho, and I will be racing probably with the Pacific Northwest up in Oregon, Washington, California tracks. Now, if I do well enough and I can attend enough events, I can hopefully get invited to what's called the runoffs. Now, the runoffs, the national runoffs, are this big, grandiose event that they do every year, and you have to be invited to it. Like I said, all the best drivers from around the nation go to it, and the track moves every single year. So if the track is in Florida, I got to drive my car from Idaho all the way to Florida if I get invited. Now, with that being said, if you can win at the runoffs, Mazda Motorsports himself, Mazda the company, the car company, will give you money to then move up to their MX-5 Cup Series, which is the next rung up. Now, of course, you do good enough there, you get enough eyes on you, you get enough sponsorship dollars, you can keep moving up the ladder. This is kind of how the nature of motorsports works. It's a lot like a business. Because of the money this costs, the bigger your name becomes, aka my name, you are seen as a business, a marketing piece. So if I can have the best representation externally, provide the most value for companies, that will then bring, therefore, the most chance of me becoming pro. That's the world we live in now. That's how racing is. If you want to make stuff like this happen, this is what it takes. So this is all a long ramble, but a quick monologue of kind of the future vision of this channel, where we're going to head from here. As I said, next week or coming soon will be the video of me actually going and unveiling the car and picking it up and kind of walking you guys through it real quickly. But for now on, this is kind of been the channel. I'll just still do some sim racing stuff. I'll throw in a little bit of training, some data stuff, all this kind of watch the journey grow and kind of follow along the journey with me, So if that sounds like something you're interested, you're down for an underdog story, here we go. This could fail miserably, or it could work greatly. And it's a risk I'm willing to take either way. So if that sounds like you're interesting to you, come along. So that's it. Look forward to reading the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.